Look at these leaves here. What is the shape of each leaf? And I put a little note here to say that the apex is not directly tied to the leaf shape. So in the diagram below, the apex of some of those leaves, for example, Lanceolate, is quite a sharp finish, versus Elliptic is very rounded in both the examples of Elliptic. Elliptic leaves can also have a sharp shape. My point is, don't use these diagrams as a one-time only this shape and this apex means that it's an elliptic or a lanceolate leaf. They can have different apexes but still be that leaf shape. So the leaf apex is not directly tied to the leaf shape in these diagrams. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's start off with the left side of the diagram. The linear leaves are long and narrow with more or less parallel sides. There's a little bit of variation between these, and sometimes you can even have leaves that are terite, which means round. But generally speaking, linear are very narrow leaves and keep the same width for the entirety of the leaf, for the most part. The next one are ovate leaves. Ovate are broadest below the middle of the leaf, with the length being 1 to 3 times the breadth of the leaf. So as you can see, they usually have quite a round base and then narrow out to the top. Lanceolate leaves are lance-shaped, if you can imagine English, well, maybe not English, but historically horse battles on back with the lances. They are shaped with a broader base, narrowing to a sharp point. They are 3 to 6 times as long as they are broad, and broadest below the middle, tapering to the apex. The difference between ovate and lanceolate can sometimes be a little bit confusing. But generally speaking, an ovate leaf is broader than a lanceolate leaf. And finally, elliptic. Elliptic leaves are leaves with an oval outline and are broadest in the middle. They are quite evenly broad most of the time, and yeah, looking to see that the broadest part of the leaf is in the middle of the leaf. For me, that's the key to understanding what an elliptic leaf is, whilst ovate, below the middle of the leaf. And now we'll talk about oblong, obovate, and spathulate leaves. Obovate is similar to ovate and similar to elliptic, except it is broadest above the middle. So let's just go through that really quickly once again. Repeat it in your mind or out loud with me here. It might help you remember it. Ovate, broadest below the middle. Elliptic, broadest at the middle. And obovate, broadest above the middle. We then have oblong, which is similar to linear in the sense that they are equally long along the sides, except that they are generally much wider. Well, almost always, because a linear is a very narrow leaf. Imagine oblong shapes as being a wide version or a broad version of a linear leaf. They are rectangular with a length greater than the breadth. And finally, spathulate. Spathulate leaves are spoon-shaped, and I've included 2 different examples of what I mean by spoon-shaped here. They can be with a leaf surface or lamina at the base of the leaf, or they can be completely like the other one where they continue to broaden out and are almost more of a obovate shape. The key difference here between obovate and spathulate is the way that the broadness works. Spathulate are much broader at the top, more so than obovate, and generally speaking, obovate also have quite a broad base. The next 2 leaf shapes that I want to talk about are falcate and circular or orbiculate leaves. Falcate is a sickle-shaped leaf where the leaf bends like a sickle. Falcate leaves are very similar to lanceolate, and often there seems to be crossover between the 2. So you might have a eucalyptus that has both falcate and lanceolate leaves. The key difference, once again, is that curvature. Circular leaves, as you might guess, are circle-shaped or orb-shaped. They're very round, and there are different variations of this which have different names, but generally speaking, the key thing to look for here, if the shape of the leaf is circular, then it's more than likely a circular or orbiculate leaf.